Hello. So now I'm going to explain the use state functionality, how you're going to manage state. So the syntax of the use state is it returns an object, it returns an array. You have to import that use state from React. So inside the use state, whatever you mention, it is considered as an initial value. And if you call this hook, this is a functional hook. So whenever you're calling the use state, it is going to give an array consisting the length of two. One is the state, which is representing this initial value, which is pointing to the initial value, and another thing is set state, which updates this state. Means whatever the initial value, we don't put only initial value, the state is going to be updated from initial value to something. So via set state we are going to update the state. So if you console the state, you are going to get the what initial value of whatever you provided. State. I'm consoling this thing. So you could give anything, either string, number, or array or boolean value as an initial state. It will consider that when the component is rendered, say state initial value it is provided, like it is consoling two times. I mentioned you, it has, if you put the application in a strict mode in the index.js, you put inside the react.strict mode. If you remove that, it is going to render only one time. See, one time it is consoling. So it is a good practice to render the application inside the strict mode. So the whatever you provided here, it is mapped to the state, initial state. It is called the initial value that you will be providing. So I will explain you why the use state is required in order to update the state. Because if you consider a value, suppose your input variable is equal to something you are mentioning. In JavaScript, how you change the state of the input? There will be onChange function, right? The onChange function will take that e through this function only you are going to update, right? So value is equal to, it takes a value what it has to display over there inside the input. I'm mentioning the input var. So whenever this onChange is happening, I'm updating the state. Let it be the let, because once you assign a value, it is fixed, right? That's why it will throw you an error whenever you are updating the state. So if we do like this, so onChange is equal to e, input var is equal to plus input var is equal to input var plus e dot target dot value. We are putting the input value, we are updating the input var to its value, the previous value plus its current value, e dot target dot value, whatever we are entering inside the input, we are telling it to take it both and display over there. So value should get updated over here if it is correctly working. It won't work because I'm typing here, it is not doing anything, even it is fixed over there, something written, it is fixed over here, like see, because in React it won't happen like this, because the change is the change is happening, and the changes should be done via hooks only whenever you are writing functional based components. In using using JavaScript, you will be document.body.append shell, or you will getting the value and appending that value. That won't work here like this. So that functionality is written inside the use state. So because we are telling the DOM to update this value with this c dot target dot value, that functionality is written inside the use state. So we don't need to specifically mention that one. That's why via hooks only we have to do. See how we have to do. How we have to do means remove this thing, and onChange is equal to set state. Whatever you provide the value inside the set state, it is going to be put inside the state. This value, whatever you mention here, e dot target dot value. So you are updating the state via set state. So each time whenever you are changing something, the t dot target dot value you are providing to the set state. So when you call this function with whatever value you provide, this will do what we will do. It will take this value and update this inside this initial state. Instead of this initial value, it will put this value over here, this value over here. So the state is going to be updated automatically. The state is the initial value, right? It is the initial value I'm mentioning. I'm removing this thing. Now it is working because it is updating over there, and here I want to display here changing input. I will provide here state. Now it will display, see, changing input, whatever you mention, state is updating here via the use state hook. Whatever the functionality you write inside the JavaScript document body.append shell, or whatever that functionality, it is written using the inside the use state. Like all those whatever you do in order to put to the DOM, those comments, those lines are written using the use state. That's why we don't need to write them specifically, which uses a lot of energies. So this is about use state. You have to import the use state from the React first step, and call it like this and write it like this. And whenever whatever you provide inside the use state is the initial value that you provide. Initial value may be string or number I'll put you this thing. See, string or number or object. If you put the object input I'm providing here, if you put the object, you have to render directly. Objects are not rendered inside the DOM, right? Just inside the browser state dot input I'm rendering. So whenever you are telling, whenever it is object, what you have to do is you have to return the entire state. How you change an object inside the using JavaScript destructuring? You have to return entire object. After returning entire object, you have to change that particular field inside the object, right? So I'm returning the entire object here by destructuring this thing. So after this I am updating this input value. Input is equal to e dot target dot value I am mentioning. So inside this object, update this input property with the e dot target dot value. I am telling it is as simple as like that. If you directly provide input is to, if you don't provide like this, input is to e dot target dot value, the whole state is going to be expired. Like you're telling it update the entire thing with the input is to e dot target dot value. Let me show you. Let me const initial values is equal to name is to email is to, I'm provided here. I am giving this initial value to the initial values. Okay, this is input I'm right or right. See, initial value consists of two properties. One is input, one is email. I'm giving this initial values to this itself the object into consisting input and email as properties. I am rendering state dot input. If you do like this, it is completely okay. If I am doing like this, okay, update only input is to e dot target dot value. What it will do is it will replace the whole initial values with only this only. Input is to e dot target dot value. Okay, I will console it. Log of state while changing state, I will console it. Before changing, I will state before changes. See how it will work. State before changes is input is to, it is null, right? Now I'm updating this thing. See, the state is now the state consists only one only input only. There is nothing here, and there is no another property in email. That the property is gone. If you do like this, if you just put whatever you want, that remaining state is going to be expired, because you're telling set state whatever you provide inside the set state, you're telling you take this as an value to the state, you update this state value to this thing you are mentioning. That's why what we have to tell is, okay, take the entire state, let the entire state will be like there itself, and update input, whether the input you provide input or email you want to update e.target.value, I will mention over there. Like this you have to tell it. So now input is there, email also there. If you add another input over here, I'll put the placeholder for this. Placeholder is equal to input, and placeholder is equal to email. I'm changing the state. Change is equal to text the event. I'm putting it as set state. I am now returning the entire state, updating the email here. Email is to e.target.value. Okay. Now this is the way. Suppose there are n number of inputs will be there inside the form. When there are n number of inputs are there, how you are going to do? This is how you have to do. Giving the input individual properties to each input and updating the specific field over there. I will tell you how to write when you are doing formic and app. Value is equal to state.email. Hello. See, now the email is hello email. See, both are there. I am changing the email, but input is hello, whatever it is there inside the state, it is still there, because we are telling like that. Let the state will be like that only, whatever the previous state. Update the email only. We are telling update whenever this input is changing, update the only email property. That's how it works. So this is about the use state. You could mention, you could give an initial value, you could give an object, you could give array, empty array, initial array, or you could give the boolean value or anything you could give. Depend upon your usage, depend upon your requirement, you could provide. We give a lot of times we give object when you are working with the forms, because there will be a lot of fields are there. We'll be providing in the format of object itself. Whenever we are receiving the data, we have to put inside the data. We have to put the data inside the state. We use the array that we'll manage with the regex. So as of now, the syntax is like this. You have to import the use state, you have to call this, and it will return an array consisting the length of 2. First 0th index will represent the state, initial value whatever you mention inside the use state, and second element, first index element will represent the updating thing, whatever you want to update with. That's all about the use state. We'll look about the use effect in the next video. Thank you.